Holy shit, my friends and family. Here we are with the Warrior Poet Project podcast. It's been a small hiatus. I apologize as always about that. We got people interrupting us. Doesn't matter. It's all good because we're off to the races here with my man, Jermaine Andre. What is going on, my friend?
Not much.
Thanks
How you
for
doing?
coming out. I'm doing good, brother. Yeah, you're welcome, man. So I was just looking over there, and I see this NBA championship looking ring on your finger, but I know you don't hoop.
Nope.
So explain what that is.
Well, for one, I'm too short to hoop, so you're right with that one. This is from the United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and I actually got inducted in. It says it on in 2012 on my 40th birthday. So as I was going over the hill and getting old, they gave me something to make sure I didn't get too depressed. They said, "Look, we know you're an old dude, but
well, maybe they just didn't want you to. They just didn't want you to fight him anymore. They're like, listen,
they try to give me
induct this guy. He'll stop kicking our ass and he'll leave us alone."
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about. Obviously, that's like it's like one of those movies, where they show you like the end part first, and then you got to go back to the rest of the story.
Right.
So here's the end part. You got a big old badass ring for the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, but there's a lot of fucking work to get along that path. So take us all the way back to the beginning, man.
Ooh, well, when you say beginning, I'm gonna let you choose.
I want the
I'm
very
like a
beginning.
big menu book.
Yeah, I want. We don't have to go too slow, but I want to go all the way back to the start.
Okay, well, I was born at St. Louis. Barnes Jewish Hospital. No, I'm just kidding. You're like, wait a minute.
Damn.
We got a couple hours, not a couple days. Well, I tell you, I've been in the martial arts ever since I was a kid. And I was actually a fan. Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I used to play with the martial arts. And I even had uncles who'd been in the wars and stuff like that, and they would teach me things and stuff like that. But I ended up having to use the martial arts all the time to defend myself and to defend my friends. And so, I got good at it, because I play with it all the time. And next thing you know, I throw something, here goes a guy flying across the room. So I was kind of like, well, this stuff is working. So I started using it a lot.
What were some of your childhood techniques that you liked?
Sidekick.
Sidekick
was one of my favorite. And I always tell everybody.
Chuck Norris.
No, that was Bruce Lee more.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, Chuck, you're right. Chuck did throw the sidekick.
Chuck threw a mean sidekick.
Back fist and a sidekick.
Yeah.
But I even say today, I say to people, always to my students, I say, if God came to me and said, you only get to use one martial art technique forever, and that's it, it'd be a sidekick. Because you can attack with it, you can defend with it, you can kick and lean back, and then you can retreat. Fake, turn your head like you're scared, throw a spinning sidekick. So it's got a lot of range to it, but the sidekick was my favorite. And then I started getting more into junior high school, and I was, as you can see, this is not a basketball, like say NBA Hall of Fame ring. I was shorter than everybody, so I started using my hands more. And I had an uncle who rose me in a lot of boxing also. So then I started hitting, and I shoot in and pick them up and slam them on the ground. So then I started kind of just mixing it up.
Yeah. Early mixed martial arts techniques.
Yeah. Early days. Yeah, it was, and I had a lot of street fighting that was happening, but I always was usually finding myself, standing up for my brother or something like that, and then you start getting a reputation, then everybody's coming after you all of a sudden, so I just kept developing and getting better and better.
So you hone your skills in the streets, but eventually you started competing in some more sanctioned organizations, going through different, more traditional systems. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, actually, I saw the UFC on TV, the first ones when they first came out.
Yep.
And I said, I could beat those guys. I said, they're tough. They're not afraid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying a lot of martial arts getting used, And I said, man, I got to get into this. So then that's when I decided to start competing. And where this all happened at is, like I said, if the rabbit hole goes deep. You just call me Morpheus. You know what I'm saying? I got the blue pill and the red pill here. Which one you want to take? The red pill is the short story. The blue pill is the long one.
I like a little bit of both, man. Right. I don't like to choose.
Well, that's why I tell you what. The story with me, as I came up through high school, I actually graduated high school. Right when I graduated, I had a girlfriend who I was really close to, and her mom lived in Wyoming, and she was dying of cancer, and she wanted to move back with her mom, and so I actually moved with her
to Wyoming.
Yes, to Wyoming from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Now in Wyoming, that's total culture change. You know what I'm saying? And
so you were the black guy that was in Wyoming.
The black guy. Yes. But you know what? Wyoming was some of the nicest people I ever met in my life. Everywhere you drove, people just waved at you.
Yeah.
And I get mad. I'm from St. Louis. St. Louis is the hood. You don't look at somebody. What you looking at? We're going to fight. And maybe I'll be like, wait a minute. Can I get mad at him for waving at? Why is he waving at me? But they were just a super friendly town.
Yeah.
And we actually, her mom ended up passing, things were going. I had a job there, working fast food, not doing anything real. And things went bad for us. And there's not a lot of jobs in a cowboy town unless you're a cowboy. So we ended up committing an armed robbery together. Yeah, we went straight Bonnie and Clyde because it got really bad. It got bad to the point to where we were shoplifting food.
Right.
We'd go and steal turkeys and stuff. We were about to get evicted. It was the wintertime. Our car was broke down.
Is that effective to shoplift a turkey? Seems like that.
It feeds you.
It doesn't seem like it's so subtle though.
It was better than armed robbery. They don't send a task force looking for you after that. Somebody probably seen us do it and they were like, you know what, man, let them have it. It's food.
Just give them that turkey.
Just let them have it. So I ended up going to prison for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, the first offender. And I did 5 years. Well, I did 6 years in there. I did a year in solitary confinement. That's what I'm telling you. The rabbit hole is deep with me. But that's actually where I saw, the UFC, and I actually started a martial arts school in the prison. And right there, and the books I mailed you guys tells all about that. And started training inmates and even the guards. I earned the trust of the warden. He actually gave me the gym for certain hours to train and allowed us to fight. We fought bare knuckle in there. And that's where my start actually happened. They started getting interested in the ultimate fighting.
Interesting. So how was your time spent? First of all, did you have to deal with the guilt of hurting somebody that you shouldn't, or was it just kind of a money thing? You got caught. How did that go for you?
Well, it was I always like to tell people, anybody can go the wrong way. When your options, when you see this and it's the only option you think you have, you got no choice. And you put yourself in this position where, what can I do? I always say to everybody, well, what would it take for you to do this? Your family's starving, your wife's starving, you feeling like it's over, and I was always, like I said, I always got in trouble for sticking up for everybody else. I always got in fights, sticking up for people, sticking up for the guy who was getting bullied in school, and then I get into fight with the bullies and, and beat him up. Then here come him and his big brothers, and I beat them up. Then somebody go to the hospital, then I get in trouble. So it was always that. So here's my girl whose mom just died of cancer, and she's crying on my shoulder, and I'm feeling like, dude, I'm the loser of the century. We're about to get evicted. We're stealing food. Man, we got to do something. And I actually, when I was going to do it, she said, well, you're not going by yourself. I'm going with you, So I said, okay, well, fine. So, of course, nobody got hurt as far as, somebody getting shot or something like that. But you always have to look at things as, the golden rule keeps you straight. Yeah. Would I want somebody to stick a gun in my mom's face? Just if she's working her job right now. Some guy come in, with good intention, just trying to feed his family and stick a gun in my mom's face. That gun could go off, anything go wrong, So when you think like that, that helps you to say, okay, that was wrong. Even though I was doing doing the wrong thing for the right reason. I was trying to take care of mine, trying to, help with my family. That was still the wrong thing to do because you don't want anybody to do that to yours. So, but as far as being on the inside, actually the place I was sent to was the prison was a rehabilitation prison where they actually believed in trying to straighten the prisoners out. So that helped a lot. The warden there was a really good man.
That's cool to hear that story because you hear a lot of other bad,
well, it flipped. I went to solitary confinement for a year for a reason, And when I first went in, he told me, he actually said, you got a choice. He said, man, you're smart. He said, you don't belong here. What you did, anybody would have done. You know what I'm saying? These people were real. I'm gonna tell you something. When the sheriff was taking me away, he said, "You guys are too young to be going to prison like this, man." And I was like, "Yeah." And these are old cowboys. I'm talking real cowboys. He said, "Dead man tell no tales." And I said, "What?" He said, "Y'all should have killed the witness." I said, "Are you serious?" And he just kind of looked back at me. I said, wow, that's some wholesome advice from the sheriff. Where were you when I needed you? Hey, can you still get it? You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? So they always kept it real. So the warden had this belief that, I'm not a better person than you because I'm not in here.
Right.
Maybe I had better opportunities than you did. Maybe I had better choices than you. My whole objective is to make sure you don't come back. So he said, you got a good build on you. I'm gonna put you to work in the kitchen so you can eat good food. We got $100,000 gym in there that you guys can work out in, and you're going to college or you're going to solitary confinement. So I said, man, I ain't got no money for no college. I'm from a poor family, And he said, we'll pay for it. I was like, well, wait a minute, where am I at? I said, okay, yes, sir. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he had that kind of thing going. When I was in there, that place you didn't have any fights. You didn't have arguments because you were given trailer visits with your wife once a month, everybody.
But
So
your
he
wife
kept
was
it-
in jail too, though, right?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
And they still let that happen.
No, they didn't let us. We couldn't
okay,
until
yeah.
she got out.
Yeah.
Yep. So everybody in there, it was like, you got your wife, he got his wife, everybody got a wife, and we get into it. You owe me some money, some cigarettes. You didn't pay me like you're supposed to, and I see you eating a Nutty Bar, so I know you got money. But you said, oh man, somebody gave me this. I'm saying you shouldn't be eating a Nutty Bar. You owe me. You know what I'm saying? So we get ready to get into it. The guard gonna say, look, you guys want to roll around with each other, or roll around with your wife. I'm saying, what?
Easy
Keep those-
choice.
Easy. So he
Yeah.
had it perfect. The place was set up. We ate good food. When you walked out there into the chow hall, there was the warden sitting there eating with us. The guards ate with us. The guards hung out in our, the cells were like dorm rooms. But his idea was, you got to decide, do you want to turn these guys into animals and put them back on the streets and see what happens? Or you want to give them some respect, some responsibility, and allow them the opportunity to become good people, give them some choices and a chance. And so I did like 3 years under that warden, and then the politics changed. And a new governor came in. They assigned the Department of Corrections. They took away the trailer visits. Or they took away everything. So I slowly taking away switching the guards out with ex-Marines and telling these Marines, you got to keep these guys in line, this and that, whereas before, they come, not going to do, hey, get ready, you're going to nurse call. Oh, okay, yeah, let me finish this movie. What are you watching? They come in, oh man, we checking out this. Hey, okay, we got to go now. Okay, I'm coming. No handcuffs or nothing. It was a real strong honor system, and now it's, get ready for nurse call. Oh, okay, I'm getting ready right now. Move it now. Okay, I said I'm coming. We start rack 4, and they come in and whoop, pop out, and then so we start. Hey, what are you doing to him? Hey, you guys we need backup up here. Now here come a whole bunch of,
Yeah.
So they agitated this.
That aggression just breeds aggression.
Oh my goodness, especially against prisoners,
Yeah, right.
So this got agitated. Well, I'm sitting back, I think a month away from my parole hearing, and I'm watching my buddies go down. And I'm watching this happening. The gangs start forming because they took the trailer visits. And the warden, Dwayne, said, you take the trailer visits, I'm out because it's over. He knew you can't take a man from a woman. When you call the separation, it's game over. And the authority came where they took the trailer visits. So he quit. He actually quit and left. And all hell started breaking loose. The Aryan Brotherhood started forming, the Crips, the Bloods, Black Guerrilla Family, all the Mexican Mafia, American Indian, everybody started separating and start going to war. Well, I've always been the type of person where, I've never seen color. I've never understood it. I've always, and I've had people from all different angles try to pull me in all different. I don't get it. I can't just dislike or like somebody because of what I'm seeing here. I don't get it. So I never got, so I could always speak from that level. And I kind of started speaking to some of the head guys saying, what are y'all doing, man? We all used to be friends. Y'all get ready to start going to war with each other, and y'all don't see what they doing. And then I said the same to the guards. I said, look, you in here.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen when all hell breaks loose? You got to be in here. They're not in here. They collecting $1 million money. You know what I'm saying? So I actually got the whole maximum, medium, and minimum yard to stand together in a peaceful protest. And so they did not like that. So they came in with dogs and shotguns and took me off the yard, put me in the hole for a year.
Wow.
It was pretty nasty.
That's quite a fucking story.
So that's the short red.
What about solitary though? I mean, how is that? Because I've often that I had a good friend who went there for some white collar issue that he had, and they actually just stuck him straight in the hole because of some politic thing, which was weird. It wasn't even a violent crime, but he was in the hole for a couple months at the time. And the only thing they gave him was a Bible, and he wasn't religious, but being in the hole with the Bible for 3 months, he came out a religious.
You come out religious. That's right. That's right.
Because that was it. He had like a little bit of light in that one fucking book, and that's all he had.
Well, I went to, you had what's called, and this, you're going to like this a little bit, it's called a pink sale. And it was actually painted pink, all the walls were. And this was the worst place you could go to. It was, and it was a sale. There was just there was no bed. You had a toilet in there, and you slept on the floor. You didn't get a blanket, you didn't get a pillow, suicide watch, as they call it. So you froze halfway to death. This is Wyoming. You froze in there, and you all you had was your underwear. Well, they put me in there. You're only supposed to be allowed to be in there for, I think 2 weeks. They put me in there for like 30 days, longer than they were supposed to. And then eventually I got moved, like I said, that's the longer story of how I got moved. I went through some things in there in my mind and said some things to a guard and made some things happen. But they move you, then you get moved to what's called Supermax solitary confinement, where there's a tier of 12 cells. And you all are locked down for 23 hours, because they still don't have a lot of room in the prison, so they still have to put you on a tier, and you get an hour out to take a shower. You get to walk the tier to the shower, and you get to hang out. If you behave, they leave you out. And you got these little things called bean shoes. They put your food through. You see on TV, they slide your food in a little hole like a rat. Those stay open, and if they leave that open for you, that's like the shining light, because then you can see across the other inmates, talk to each other, and we all mastered. I'm talking like within 2 weeks, sign language. It was bad as hell. I came down there and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Sign language. I'm like, how'd y'all learn that? They got class here, you'll learn it. And we all just, we learned how to do it, and the guards could never pick up on it from us because, of course they could see down the tier, but they couldn't see our fingers close enough. So we all mastered this sign language. We'd be signing each other, and doing stuff like that. But actually, I wouldn't take $1 million to take away my solitary confinement experience. Because when I went to solitary, I was 3 weeks away from a parole hearing, to go back to my, my woman, my family, everything. And me standing up like that, I knew that I was probably going to get taken out because it was, the system was agitating, and the new warden who was in, he was just horrible. He was one of the meanest guys on the planet. You know what I'm saying? And he was trying to take everything and everybody down. He's looking for they were trying to lock the prison down.
Right.
We got these problems. We need this money to build a new place. You know what I'm saying? So I knew I was going down. But I said, I can't not stand up for my friends. I couldn't feel good not doing that. So I lost my parole, of course. But while I was down there, you get all kinds of things happening in solitary, burnings, I'm not people. Toilet paper and messing with the guards and all this. And Wyoming's old school. You got, AIM, American Indian Movement, Mexican Mafia, all these hardcore people down there. And all of them knew who I was because of what I had done. I led everybody in this protest, so everybody respected me. Well, I still, like I said, I wasn't a cop hater. I never hated cops. I never hated guards. So when they be messing with the guards, I just be in my cell, knocking out push-ups, shadow boxing, boom, boom, hitting the wall with my elbows and shins, just doing martial arts. So one time a guy asked me, he said, "Hey, Bam," and that was my name in the Bam Bam. "Hey, Bam," I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Man, why don't you ever, F with the guards when we do?" And I said, "Because they're not bothering me." He said, "They're bothering you by keeping you locked up." I said, "No, me putting a gun in somebody's face got me locked up."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, no, bull crap. Well, they did this and they robbed this and they did this to your people and my people." I said, "Yeah, and our people did some things too." I said, "But everybody came together to give us something where we shouldn't have to do that anymore." I said, "So I'm not making them responsible for me. That guard didn't do anything to me." And I said, second of all, I said, "That's the dude who's serving your food, you idiot. You think he didn't piss in it?" When I said that, it got everybody's attention. And we had some old mafia heads down there.
Yeah.
And one of the mafia heads was like, "That's a good point, Bam Bam." And once he says, everybody just started kind of listening. Yeah. And so it came up to the point, and I said, I started arguing with the guy. I asked him, I said, "Look, man," I said, "one thing I'm not about is about bullshit." I said, "I'm just going to put it to you like this. Everybody sitting here, you got anybody you care about? For real. Now let's cut the tough guy stuff." I said, "We all down here in the hole. We the toughest dudes on the planet. We got terrorists down there, hostage takers, we got them all. And we all in here." I said, "So let's cut the bull crap." I said, "Anybody got anybody you care about?" Everybody, "Yeah, I care about my mom, my sister, this and that." I said, "Okay, if somebody broke in that house with a knife right now, I'm just going to cut her up and do everything to her. Who you going to call?" And one of the guys said, 911. I said, "Exactly, the cops." So quit acting like y'all said, everybody quit being fake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everybody playing this little tough guy role. When it come down to it and you need help, you dialing 911, fool. So everybody down there, we supposed to be the realest people on the planet. I said, that's all we got.
Yeah.
Is that we supposed to be 100% real. That's why we locked up, because we said, F this. I'm standing up and doing what I feel I should do. The last thing we need to do is be down here acting like some punks, you know what I'm saying, and picking on, female guards and dudes who just down here just doing their job. If that's the case, then bust out or something, but picking on this guy. So that ended up, kind of setting a tone. Well, then they would hear me, like I said, I'd be working out. And one of the inmates happened to see me because I told you we get out for that hour where they had what's called a day room, and I take a shower, and I was doing some kata and shadow boxing, and he saw me, which I was trying to kind of keep hid, because a lot of these guys, even though they knew who I was, they didn't know of me. I've been on the yard already. A lot of people knew I knew martial arts stuff, but that's not the kind of thing you want to do. You don't want people to think you're a badass in prison, because you're gonna get challenged,
right?
So he saw me, and he was like, and I went to lockdown. He said, "Hey, Bam, why don't you show us something that you was just doing?" I'm like, "What?" Man, I seen you. Who changed you? The Chinese? He started dropping all these names. You CIA? What's it? I'm like, oh my God. Last thing you want is them thinking you're a possible rat, undercover cop. So I'm like, oh man, it's over for me. They're gonna take me out. So he's asking, and so everybody started kind of breaking in, and he started talking crap. They're like, what was he doing? He was doing that march. I'm telling you, man, the Chinese or something trained him. You from China? What? He's saying all this stuff. Well, he took over the whole prison, this and that and this, and he did this and that, and he took out 15 guards. Man, I ain't take out no 15 guards. The story getting better as you going. What I'm saying? So I'm like, oh man. So everybody starts tuning in. And they want to do all that martial arts stuff don't work. So I'm telling you, man, he'll whoop your ass with that stuff. I'm seeing him. I ain't never seen nobody moving like that. He's just talking up, sitting like, oh man, So then, of course, the old mafia head guy who with the quiet voice, he's like, hey, Bam, come on, man, just show us a little bit. And I'm like, nah, man, that ain't what it's for. I said, I just exercise with it. And he's like, Bam, come on, man, we all been locked down here some of us been down here for 4 or 5 years. It'd be nice just to see something. So I was like, so it got to the point where I couldn't say no.
Right.
It'd be an insult. So I was like, crap. So I was like, all right. So I was like, stop doing everything and ended with a backflip. Bah! And I stopped and I just kind of, walk up. Everybody's like, holy shit, man, you see that? I told you, kid. Oh my God, I've never seen it. And I didn't know how fast or anything I was. I just trained all the time and did everything. That's what I did with my spare time, especially since I was locked up. I said, well, I'm locked up. At least I'm gonna do is take care of my body, and I'm not gonna eat junk. I'm not gonna smoke cigarettes. I'm not gonna drink coffee. I'm not gonna watch TV. I'm gonna work out and do everything I can to come out of here the best that I can.
Yeah.
And so I was really good, and I didn't even know it. And they saw it. So after they saw it, one of the main knuckleheads said, "Yo, Bam, man, you teach me that stuff?" I said, And then it hit me. I said, nah. I said, I'm not gonna teach you because you're using the wrong way. Yeah, so you always run around stabbing people and mess. I said, I'm not gonna teach you so you can go beat up some old woman and take her purse. He said, man, I wouldn't do something like that, man. I said, no, this stuff is supposed to be held in an honorable way, man,
Yeah.
And so he's like, I would never do. I said, all right, I tell you what, you start saying sir and ma'am to the guards, and then I train you. So I thought that was it.
Yeah.
So I lock it down, we going through our days, a couple of days pass, and I'm sitting in my cell, and I hear, yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
You're like, oh, shit.
What the? Did he just, Yeah, so first thing I'm thinking is, oh, God, I got to stick by my word.
Yeah.
But then I said, well, wait a minute, it worked. And I'm listening to him, and he kept doing it, and it didn't seem like he was doing it, just for that purpose, but he really believed in what he was doing. And if he believed in what I was showing that much, that he was willing to start saying, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, to the guards in front of all these guys, who were 100% against him. I said, I got to stand by that, even if it means my life. He took a stand by what I said, and I got to stand by what I said. And so I started training him. And then next thing you know, everybody started, just calming down with the guards. So the guards finally pulled me out. The lieutenant was like, hey, man, what are you doing down there to get all these people under control? I said, first of all, I ain't got nobody under control. I said, don't get it twisted. They got themselves under control. Yeah. They do what they want to do. I said, I just kind of hollered at them, man. Y'all in here with us.
Right.
You ain't my enemy. And they were like, the lieutenant was like, man, we appreciate, you doing that. You need anything, Yes, I do. Vegetarian meals. Can we get a TV for the Super Bowl? This and that. I started just breaking. He's like, we'll get your TV down there for the Super Bowl. I was like, right on. So that's how it started. So I came back down and kind of let everybody know. And they, I started eating vegetarian food. They started sending the vegetarian food for everybody. So that whole tier just went. So it got to the point where they started letting us out 2 at a time, where I can train them in the martial arts and we can spar and work out and everything. And then when I came out of solitary, the yard warden pulled me in and said, I heard about what you did down there. How would you like to continue that on the maximum yard? I said, well, definitely, man. He said, well, I just want to make a deal with you. I said, what's that? He said, if any badasses come in who think they're badasses, can I send them to you? I said, oh, yeah. I said, please do. I said, you have to let us fight bare knuckle. Yeah. And he said, no, you're going to kill somebody. I said, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. I said, I'm not trying to break people down. I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm trying to help them to get real. Everybody come here with that bullshit because I came here with that bullshit until the guards, put it on me and whooped my ass one day, with clubs and grenades and everything else. And the lieutenant told me, Jermaine, no, you are a badass and we look at you like that and we will always approach you in that manner. And when he said that, I said, thanks. You know what I'm saying? But it made me get real. You know, okay, I am a bad, so I can't be, you know, putting myself off like this, or somebody gonna put a bullet in my head. Yeah. You know, so I said, I'm just trying to give them that same thing, that all this stuff you bring in is bull crap. Let's find out what you're really made of. And I said, you know, and they're gonna have to hold respect. You know, if any of them get any write-ups, anything I see, anything weird, they off the team. You know, and so the warden's like, you got it. You know, we'll even we'll set a ring up and let you guys have some fights sometimes and stuff. So that's where we started at.
How many fights do you think you got in under that system?
Oh my goodness. Well, I had an actual boxing match with gloves in the ring. They actually used to open up the whole system and let the town come in and watch us box. But as far as bare knuckle, that's what we did almost every day. You know, and we'd get up and run, we get up and train, we lift weights. You know, we lunge. There was this. We took every dumbbell on a rack and put it out for lunges. And I just said, see where you can make it. You know, 10 sets on each one, and we just climb and climb and climb, and then we kick each other to death. And then at the end, we'd wrap up with just hand wraps, and then we sparred. You know, and of course, I was always the best. You know, and I always tried not to bruise people's faces, so that's why we kick the legs and everything and take them out, just tear their legs up and stuff. But when they wanted to move up to instructor rank, then they had to actually fight me bare knuckle. And so that ended up kind of nasty sometimes. You know, like I said, I was never trying to intentionally, you know, hurt anyone.
It's a fucking bare knuckle fight.
It's the martial art. It's the martial arts, and I had to show you reality. You know, that's one thing they had to know. I remember one of my guys one time asked me, "Man, does that bull crap with hitting people in the throat work?" So I said, "Pow!" I hit him in the throat. He's like, "Man, what'd you do that for?" I said, "You asked me if it worked. You could have answered." I said, "But you wouldn't have believed me." Yeah. You know, okay,
I could have said,
yeah, you're right, I did ask you. You know, I said, but now, what's your favorite technique?
Yeah.
Hitting the throat. I said, exactly. So now you know you got it if you ever need it, you know. I always want people to have a sense of reality while we're in there.
I think, you know, that's one of the reasons I tend to get along really well with, you know, a lot of fighters is even fighters, obviously your situation was on the extreme end of that, but even the people who are training to go into a cage fight, be it amateur or pro, you're facing a lot of your own demons when you're doing that. Yep. You're finding out what's really inside of you. You know, all of these ideas and things that you have in your head about what you are, what you want to be, what you think you are, what you're doubting about yourself. You put that shit to the test. And if you pass that crucible, you know, you come out a different person. And it's the same with some of the plant medicine stuff that I do as well. I mean, going to a serious, you know, ayahuasca journey or a boga journey, you're going to see what kind of shit you got inside.
Yeah, you're going to see you.
You're going to see you.
Yeah.
and anybody, you know, one way or another, I think everybody needs to have some system that allows that to happen. Otherwise, you just get off in this fucking fantasy land of
you get off in
bullshit.
what the world wants.
Right.
You know, the truth to the matter is, you know, we're all puppets. You know, all day long we have to censor ourselves, edit ourselves, behave certain ways to be able to operate and function within society, which we have to have. We have people running around out there butt naked. And I don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not against those rules, but man, training is it. I tell everybody.
I don't mind if people run around butt naked. What do you got against people running around butt naked? It'd be fucking fine for me. If there's 10 people running around butt naked in the parking lot, I'd be like, that's awesome. Look, all these people are running around butt naked. That's great.
Well, see, this is where we disagree. I don't want to see that. Now, wait a minute. There might be some girls I don't mind seeing, but that's as far
I don't
as
mind. Let them all. Let all the crazy animals out there running around naked.
So, but I always tell everybody, you want to find out what somebody's truly made of, train with them.
Yeah.
You know, I say that when people, martial arts students come in, I'm going to find out everything I need to know about you in, you know, a 45-minute session. Yep. When I work you out, I'm going to find out what you think about yourself, if you give up, if you quit, you know, if you're a learner, you know, if you're arrogant, if you're humble, you know, you're going to find all that out when you start getting fatigued. Mm-hmm. When you start getting fatigued, that's when the real deal come out, man. You know, you start realizing.
For sure. So this is like the ultimate fertile training ground for a young tiger. So you come out.
Wow, that's funny you said that. Did you read the book yet?
No, I have the book. So
did you look at the cover?
I looked at the cover.
Because we were called the Muay Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. But then you came out, and then it's time to, you know, to step it up. So tell us a little bit about your career, some of the highlights, some of the things that went from there.
Well, the first thing you have to understand is why I fought. And that's a really fun one. When I was, you know, of course, when I had my martial arts school in there, to me, a student was like family. That was blood. And I had a lot of great students. And there was actually one of them who asked me, he said he wanted to fight. He said, man, you know, it was actually the one who, the first one I started training. And his name was Tony. the first one I started training, and he said, do you think I could be a champion? Well, he was a guy he came from a horrible background. You know, his mom was, she was on the streets and stuff like that. He'd been around these horrible guys that beat him all the time and treat him really bad. So he hated men. Mm-hmm. So I said, number one, you hate men, so you destroy them, because you don't want to let any man beat you.
Yeah.
I said, so, and you got tons of talent, tons of skill, you're strong. I said, yeah, you definitely could be a champion. Well, he said, well, man, how would I get into it? Do you have connections? I said, no, I came here when I was 19 years old. No, I don't have connections. I said, but, I said, all you have to do is come out and just start fighting. And so the conversation happened. Well, what happened was I told him I'd start fighting. And we actually set a plan. And it was for me to come out and start fighting. But I said, it costs to fight as an amateur. You don't get paid until you make it and become something. I said, so, I'm from a broke family. When I come out there, I got nothing sitting waiting for me. It's zero, or less than zero is where I'm starting. I said, but I'll start fighting if that's what you want to do, because I'm really interested in continuing the school so that not only when you guys come out, you got something solid to come to, if you want to fight or whatever you want to do. And for people even out there who want a good sense of some really real martial arts that come from a real serious, strong fighting background. So I said, it's a good idea. So I said, I don't want to be a fighter though, but I'll fight. I'm the sensei. And when you come out, I'll put you into the fight game and I'll pull out. Well, so I'll have a part-time job, be fighting, amateur fighting. When he comes out, I go to pro or big-time fights, quit my job. He works the jobs, pays the bills. So we had that plan, and it happened just like that. I came out, started fighting. He came out, I got him a fight, but then he ended up going back to the streets, and getting involved in bad stuff, which of course I wasn't having that around me at all.
Yeah.
And so the chain was broken right there. Then I actually had another one who was one of my top guys who was supposed to be coming out probably a year behind. And he was actually the money guy. Like he had been in there for about 15 years. Wow. And he always, what he went to solitary confinement all the time for? Making money. They hated him, and he ran lottery, so cigarette, and it was all good, clean stuff. He didn't do drug nothing, but he was just the money man. Yeah. And so he's supposed to come out and start financing and getting everything together on the money side. Well, he ended up pulling an escape for his wife, which I don't know how I'm gonna get mad at him for what I did for mine, So right. And he ended up getting caught and got thrown back in, So I'm sitting out here like,
it's just you.
Yeah, what the hell's going on, man? So now I'm stuck in this fight game. But I had actually, when I came out, I started training under Ron Smith in Muay Thai kickboxing. And Slava from Russia started training in Russian Sambo. So now, the code of honor in the martial arts is buried into my soul. That's all I've got. And so now my loyalty's boom to them. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to keep fighting. So I kept fighting. Plus, it was good that I had the fight game, because I don't know what else I would have done, honestly. So I just kept fighting. And one day, Ron Smith said to me in a conversation, he said, man, wouldn't it be cool to be the world champion? And I was just kind of like, yeah, I guess so. And then he kind of walked and he said, yeah, it'd be cool to be the trainer, the world champion. And I was like, I said, is that right? Okay. So that put me on a mission, So boom, I started kept fighting, and worked my way all the way up to the WFA middleweight world title shot in Las Vegas and took that. But
nice. So which organization is that?
World Fighting Alliance.
World Fighting Alliance?
Yep.
Yeah. And what are the rules of that?
It was MMA, the same kind of rules as UFC. And it was actually, you remember John Lewis? You might remember him?
Yeah.
Old school.
So.
Yeah, old school UFC stuff.
Yeah.
But, the UFC bought the WFA up.
Okay.
And they actually were still using the WFA for like a bunch of pro fights. Mm-hmm. But I was on there. It was actually the first MMA show that ever happened in Las Vegas, the first sanctioned MMA show. And I actually won the first sanctioned MMA world title in Las Vegas.
Nice.
And this belt, I'm telling you, you have to look at my website. It is no joke. It's all real stuff. It's heavy. It's probably about 20 pounds. It's got snake skin on the back. It's got real jewels in it. It's bad, man. Yeah. It's like, yeah, right on, man. So it was a nice belt. But that was, I fought in Japan. I fought in Hawaii. I had and when I was fighting, everything was new. The UFC had just came out. So the UFC wasn't the top league yet. You had the WFA, you had rings. I fought a lot for rings under Monty Cox. We fought. I fought in Japan. I fought in Hawaii. I fought in Canada, and it was it was fun, but it was depressing at the same time because here I go to Japan and fight, and everybody knew I was, and Billboard's supposed to come home, nobody knew who I was because it wasn't legal to fight. You couldn't fight in Missouri. Sure. We could fight in Illinois, but not in Missouri. And then they weren't airing anything then. They film it. but they show it in Japan or something. You know, it got shown somewhere where, you know, you couldn't even see it in America. You know, I go fight in Hawaii and go over there to, you know, Team USA versus Team Hawaii. We'll smash the team, you know, big parties in Hawaii, everything. You know, in Las Vegas, my face was on a billboard when I got off the plane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jermaine, Andre for the fight for the world title, you know, came on with the bell, stepped off the plane, you know, what do you call it, tumbleweed rolling by, you know. I'm like, man, come on. You know, I said, man, what is going on here? You know, so it was a hard struggle. And right when MMA blew up, it started blowing up, was when my injury started setting in. I've had like a pin and staples in my left foot since I was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I was, even through my fight career, sometimes I couldn't even stand on my foot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I even developed my Muay Thai front push kick where I stand on that back leg and, you know, just paw with that left leg like a jab, because sometimes it would go numb, you know, in the fight where I couldn't feel it. And I'd be like, oh crap, so I just go here, you know, just start kicking to keep them off of me.
Yeah.
So.
Man, that's a hell of a story. One thing that seems consistent is you developed a certain type of ethos, you know, like this kind of code of conduct for yourself that kind of seemed to forge when you're in prison. You know, tell us a little bit more about like what your ethos is, because I think that's a super important thing to have, like something that you fall back on when things are in question, you're confused, you're tired, you're pushed to your limits, you know, to have that code that's this unbreakable thing that you know that, you know, that's just something that is not in question anymore.
I always followed a lot of the samurai code.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always felt that, like when I fought, I was a slave, is where I put my mind. I said, this is, you know, Jermaine Andre, you're a slave to your teachers and trainer, to Ron Smith. You know, you sacrifice everything for them. Nothing else matters. You know, you get a chance to watch a lot of my fights, you'll even see when I win, you know, I didn't raise my hand. I didn't, you know. Most of the time I go check on my guy, you know, if he was hurt, you know, if I knocked him out or something, to make sure he was okay, because it was a good day for me, a bad day for him. You know, that's a fellow martial artist. He's trained, his family's watching. So I felt more for him than, you know, just wanting to hold my hand up, which didn't do me real good for ratings. You know, you know what I'm saying? Nobody wanted to see that samurai quiet stuff, except Japan, you know, which eventually that, you know, you see what happened with Pride and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of faded out. But when I fought, I just made sure that I kept my mind focused that, you know, that I was samurai. Mm-hmm. You know, you're in servitude. You know, nothing for you matters. The only thing that matters is what you're accomplishing for your trainer, you know, for the Muay Tigers, for the people who you said you're going to do something for. So that thought of slavery gave me freedom. You know, now I was free to tell anything and anybody that caused me a distraction, no. You know, I can't do that. Well, why not? It doesn't matter. I don't even need to explain to you. You know, because over here, you know, I had this code that I had to stick to, or I was nobody. You know, and the samurai code actually saved me, because I remember when I was in county jail, what do you call him, a correctional officer. I don't think they call that in jail, but he was the first one I met that made me start liking like cops. And when I say that, I never disliked them, but I was just always in the middle. But he just complimented him. Man, you're so strong. You look, oh, wow. You know, he'd always sneak me out to lift weights. Hey, Jermaine, come here. You want some extra weight lifting? I said, yeah, thanks. You know, so we started becoming friends. And he even said to me one day, man, I heard that you and your wife pulled on, what are you, Bonnie and Clyde? Man, that takes a ball. And I heard you guys won't even talk to the cops. And she won't say anything. Man, you guys are straight get, man. If I had friends like you, you know, and I'm just kind of like, wait a minute, you a cop. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But he's being real with me, you know? So I'm just kind of like, you know, and so we started connecting. And then he said to me, he's like, man, you straight samurai. You know, I was like, what? You say straight samurai, man. You know samurai. And I was like, He said, man, I'll get you some books. And so I started reading, you know, and learning a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is dope. I'm digging this. So I can be I said, I can be a badass. And I can be someone who's willing to take that plunge and not afraid to die, not afraid to go down, and not have to be an idiot. You know, when I read, you know, about being a samurai, you can't die a dog's death. Because that was one of my problems. I was always confused on, okay, when am I supposed to not stand up? You know, when am I supposed to stand up? You know, this guy talking smack and pissing me off. Am I supposed to go and beat his head in? You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a punk. You know what I'm saying? So they have to define that, no, that's a dog's death. You can't do, there has to be honor in your death. So that's what really pulled me into that code, you know, and I started studying them more.
And one of my favorite stories, you know, well, of course, the code you're talking about is Bushido, which is the, you know, the famous samurai code of honor. And actually the word samurai means to serve, which not a lot of people know as well. But one of my favorite samurai stories is a shogun sends one of his top samurais to go execute this known thief. And so the samurai goes out to this thief's house and is going to execute him. And the thief, gets him and spits in his face, right as the samurai is pulling out his sword. And the samurai
puts it back,
puts his sword back in,
yep.
and leaves. Comes back again next week, and the thief tries it again, spits in his face, and the samurai just keeps on going. And the thief's like, "Hey, wait, what happened last time? I spit in your face. You left." She said, "Well, last time I was angry." And then he takes the sword and cuts off his head, because the code of the samurai was that he could not commit violence in anger.
Right.
He had to do it with a calm heart.
Yep. It couldn't be personal.
It couldn't be personal.
It had to be for your master.
Exactly.
Not for yourself. Yep.
So even though he was going to do the same thing, the way and the manner in which he did it was, the most important thing to him. And that's what having that code can bring. And a lot of us don't have anybody in particular that we feel that necessity to want to serve another individual, because other individuals are fallible as well. But for me, for a lot of people, you can put a higher ideal as something that you'll serve.
Right.
So the idea of to borrow something that is spoken a lot down in Peru from this old Chavin tradition, they say para el bien de todos, for the good of all. So then you can use that for the good of all as who you're serving. That's your shogun,
Right.
What is going to be for the good of all. And then if ever you're in doubt and ever you're worrying, is this action for the good of all? No,
right.
It's not. So it
Right.
doesn't
Boom.
fit with your ethos.
Exactly.
And it's easy to cut it off.
And the golden rule keeps you there.
Yep.
I keep playing simple. I want somebody doing this to somebody I care about.
Sure.
Somebody who's not as strong as me. I've got people in my family who aren't as strong as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my main things, like a lot of, you look at me, I stay in good shape. And one of the main reasons is because I know that I have to stay at a point to lead my students. So it'll be days I go up to this martial arts school by myself and I'm like, man, I don't feel like doing this crap. I'll pick up the 40 pounders, instead of the 50s. But the first thing I do, I'll think of one of my students who had the 60s in his hands the other day. And I say, I can't betray him, man.
Right.
I can't betray her. I think about that mom that trained under me who was, 50, 60 pounds, went through a divorce. I trained her and got her in shape, and she did Tough Mudder, 14-mile obstacle course. And I say, there's no way in the world I can not do this because I don't want to. So now my students become my master.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's this circle that's going. Then they're saying, well, I can't let him down. I'm saying, I can't let them down. So this beautiful circle is just going, that helps us all to keep ourselves straight.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about some of these leadership principles that you're mentioning, because you've obviously been effective even early on, just instinctively, leading people. So if you had to write, Jermaine Andre's principles of leadership, what would those
don't do
be?
that. I will start another book. Don't do that. We already got like 15 books I'm trying to sell. My assistant's probably sitting knocking the computer over now. She's like, stop it. I'm trying to get him to stop writing books. But I like that though.
Too late. The idea is planted.
Well, I mean, you have to be careful of who you lead, for one,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to, the martial arts. The martial arts is you turn a person into a weapon, so you have to be patient in training them, and which is something I'm actually seeing a lot now, especially with the MMA world. Everybody's just handing out arm bars just to get a paycheck, and they're handing out to 5-year-olds. And I'm like, dude, that's a little kid that you teach them to break an arm. The rear naked choke is deadly force. I train police officers, I train military, and they cannot grab a person around the neck. You know what I'm saying? Even though we do it on TV with the referee there saying, all right, break. But I say you got to be careful showing these kids that, man, because they're going to get a hold of somebody and, and do this. So you have to slowly train them and discipline them and things like that, So anytime you're taking up a position of leadership, number one, you have to feel a very strong sense of accountability towards whoever you're leading, of what they're going to do with whatever it is you're teaching them, And then, of course, I try to say, don't try to get somebody to do something that you're not willing to do. But in saying that, I have to be careful because there's a lot of things I can't do on computer. There's a lot of things I can't do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I need somebody to do it, and I can't do it. So when it really comes to it, that sounds good.
Not necessarily that you can't do it, but that you wouldn't do. You would do everything if you could.
Oh, if I could, right.
And
right.
I think that's where the important distinction is.
Yeah. So definitely stay close to your people. Keep a personal relationship with each one of them. And you got to care. You know, it's like my trainers. When I certify my trainers, I say the most important thing is you have to care for them where you don't want them to get hurt and you want to see them develop. And I say if you keep that in your mind, you probably won't ever make a mistake. And we've been training people for 15 years. You know, and if you want to count the inside, it's been, people got hurt in there because we were training differently. That was hardcore. You know, but as far as out here on the streets, training everyday people, I've never had anybody get injured. Yeah. You know, because we're very careful with what we do. And I say if you have to care about that individual, you have to care that they're moving forward and that they're not getting hurt. And you'll see everything. You'll be able to, so the main thing you'll do is you'll be able to read their expression. You know, their expression tells you everything. When the injury's coming, you know, if they can't handle it, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's a few of the things, you know, the most important things about leadership that I put out there.
You know, that last one seems simple, but it's not.
No, it's not.
Really caring about someone. It's really easy to see. It's time-consuming. And it's easy to see someone as their function. You know, okay, this is my student whose function is paying me, who's, you know, so the reward is for me to keep him as long as possible paying me, you know, right. Rather than like, and you don't do that consciously because you sound like a sociopath when you're doing it consciously. But like, it's easy for the brain to think of people in function, like this person is this function, this person is this function, right. Rather than this is a human, an imperfect as we all are, who has these dreams, aspirations, goals, struggles, challenges, and like really connecting with them as a human. Or right. It doesn't even have to be a human. It could be an animal, a horse that you're riding, or a dog that you have in the house. Like connecting with them, not as their function, like, oh, you're my means of transportation, or you're supposed to be my friend, or blah, 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 but really connecting with them as an individual, autonomous being.
Yeah.
And, or even looking at the fucking earth. You know, I think about all of the people who do these, you know, horrendous environmental catastrophic things to the earth. And I think about it and it's like, if they really actually cared and loved for the earth, they wouldn't do it.
Right.
You know, because only a complete psychopath would hurt someone or something that they love.
Taking care of them. Right.
That they love. Yeah, exactly. So, but instead they see it as a function. Oh, this place is a place that provides me resources, right. Which allows me to do it. So instead of seeing the entity, they see the function.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we can always, you know, remind ourselves of. Like, don't look at the function like your girlfriend as the function of girlfriend, or your wife, or whoever. Oh, that's her function. It's her job to love me, feed me, blah, blah, blah. Not like this, look at this, you know, living, breathing, you know, spirit embodied meat sack that is floating around here, you know, like really connect with what that entity is. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Well, and that makes it really hard. You know, I don't know if you ever had a chance to read Kodo, but they say in that book that, you know, for any martial art instructor to think he's going to become, you know, a millionaire from it is an idiot. And, you know, of course, we hear all kinds of things that we're like, whatever, man, I'm getting ready to do this. You know what I'm saying? And I tell you what, I've lost so many students, especially youth, because parents want me to rush things. You know, and I'm like, no, you know, I'm trying to slowly develop him. So I get stuck in that position of, you know, sensei and businessman. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, but I got people counting on me business wise, or else, you know, I'm a horrible businessman. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sitting there saying, okay, if I tell this mom or this dad what they want to hear and say, sure, no problem, I'll give him that, he can do this and that, they get ready to put $5,000 on the table. If I say no, they're going to the school down the street that's going to say yes. Mm-hmm. And so many times I've had to do that, you know, and they walk out, then they're bad-mouthing you behind your back and everything else, you know, and I'm sitting there saying, you know, man, you came to me to help develop him to what I believe is a martial artist, and I'm trying to do what it takes, you know, and you're getting results, you know, but I can't give it to him as fast as you want while you're sitting in the lobby, you know, bored, of course, like, oh, my God, what's going on? I'm so tired of coming up here every day, you know, and I understand that, you know, but that's kind of where you were saying like that, you know, when you're trying to, it's hard to care about your clients when it's your business. Yeah. Because the business is, you're supposed to be trying to make money, run the business. But, you know, sometimes that could get in the way because of how demanding, you know, we are, you know, in society as people.
Sure.
Which is great. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, a lot of, you know, we all play the biggest part in corruption. You know, the reason fast food exists is because we eat it. You know, they're not out there saying, hey, this is all you get. It's because we're saying, hey, man, come on. Hurry up, give it to me. Mm-hmm. And if he don't keep up, Burger King going to take over. McDonald's going to shut down. You know, so they're saying, look, just keep up and keep giving them what they want. You know, so, yeah, I run into that problem a lot. And then but the thing is, I end up with the ones who stick with me end up with good, solid students.
Yeah.
You know, but.
Yeah, no, it pays off in the long run. I think another key part to that is you got to really take care of yourself too, because if you're in pain, if you're hurting, if you're suffering, it's really hard to give a shit about anybody else.
Yes.
You know, like the natural instinct, any animal that's in pain, it could be the friendliest motherfucker on the planet.
Yep.
But if they're in pain and they're hurting and they're sick,
whoop your
don't
ass.
fuck with them. Yeah, they will lash out. They don't give a shit anymore.
Yep.
You know, and that's the same with people, you know, and that's, you know, I'm running a company now that we're getting close to 50 employees, and we have our own customer service.
And everybody here looks good too.
Yeah, and it's important that everybody's happy, because every interaction that they take, you know, with any customers and anything like that, if they're unhappy in their position and they're not fulfilled and they're not, you know, really cared for and treated with the utmost respect, that's going to flow through to everybody else as well.
Definitely.
I mean, it's a cycle that perpetuates.
Yes.
And it's super important. And even in those, you know, stressful situations, you know, remembering that, just to keep that in mind, you know, take care of yourself and then see people as people. I mean, that's just, if everybody just did those simple things, you know, because you look at some of these fucking things that people write about each other on the internet, like YouTube comments particularly, and forums and stuff like that. It's like, if you really had to say that to the person and watch them get sad because you said, you know, how ugly they were, how fat they were, whatever, could you really do that? Could you really look them in the eye with those mirror neurons firing and say that to that individual? You know, no, but because it's some fucking anonymous game that they think they can do.
Well, that's what happens with all that cyberbullying.
Because they don't see people as people.
Right.
You know, and they're suffering themselves too. They have some probably, you know, serious self-love issues, you know, which is also why they're lashing out. But those simple principles would correct a massive, massive rift.
Well, that's one of the reasons I flew down here to do this. You know, and my guy Billy's actually one who connected us, and he's like, "Oh man, you know, I'm telling these guys, this show that you got to, you know, you can do it over the phone." And I was like, you know, well, how long is it going to be? You know, this is a 5-minute interview. You know, 2 minutes. You know, he's like a couple hours. I'm like, a couple hours. I said, okay, I like that. You know, so we can really talk instead of, you know, just, you know, all right, guy, get out of here now. You know, next thing on, you know. So I said, well, but yeah, if we're gonna do this, man, we got to sit down and look at each other. You know, and that's what people are losing nowadays. They're losing that connection, that, you know, that communication. You know, and I got a thing that I created. I call the cure to everything. And I always tell everybody it's compassion, understanding, respect, and education. And if I say, whenever you meet somebody, first just have compassion for them automatically. And think to yourself, I have no idea what he's been through. I have no idea what he's been through. I have no idea what he's been through. And you don't know, if I had to go through what you've been through, I might have blew my head off many years ago. So I'm going to give you compassion first. You know, then understanding, try to understand where you're coming from. You know, okay, why you do the things you do, why you did the things you did, you know, and try and get a sense of true communication instead of being immediately judgmental, you know, and then respect.
Well, that's the opposite. Judgment is the opposite of compassion.
Exactly.
You know, it allows you to create some barrier. And I think, you know, you have to be really careful of that, because that idea is really insidious. It gets in your head, even if someone else around you is doing it. I remember I was on a medicine journey down in Peru, and someone there was saying, awesome person, but had some judgments that he was carrying about some other people, and he would mention them, and I really respected this individual. And so even though I wanted to reject those judgments, they had found their way in my brain, you know, and so his ideas and his judgments about these people, I was like, it would sit with me uncomfortably. I had to like actively work to try
push that crap
try
out.
and remove
it's like a virus,
them.
man.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, you know,
you
got to be careful. Like, you can really easily poison the well with somebody, you know.
Well, with just a word.
Just a word. Yeah. And better is to just understand that, you know, we're all in varying degrees of our process.
Right.
You know, and that's okay. And anything, you know, any attribute that you see, you can probably find at least the bud of that in yourself. You know, any kind of, someone's angry, if someone's disrespectful, if someone's mean. I mean, even acts that you find despicable, you know, you can still have compassion for that person. I'm not saying don't stop it. I'm not saying if a robber comes into your house, you know, and trying to kill you,
you can't be stupid.
I understand that you want to stab me with that knife. No, you fucking shoot him, you kill him, whatever. You gotta stop that shit from happening. But at the same time, do it like the samurai, with compassion, knowing like, you know, this is just what needs to be done. I'm not going to let you, impinge upon my right to live.
Right.
You know, but I'm not going to do this with joy and
where I want
glory
to
of
kill somebody.
vengeance.
You know, I'm going to do what I
exactly.
have to do and feel
Right.
bad about it, you know,
Right.
because I took a human life, you know.
Right.
And I don't know why you were doing this. Maybe his kid was starving. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And you find out like, oh my God, that's, you know, this gives a good example. I was training a security team Sunday, and they were all bouncers, big boys. And one of them said, hey, you know, I came up, so we were talking about imminent assault. You know, an imminent assault can be a ball fist, a curled lip, anything. Like I was teaching him about it. And he said, well, hey, I came upstairs one time, and this guy was arguing with his girlfriend. And, you know, I walked over to him. I said, you know, hey, what's going on here? And he put his hand on my chest. He said, is that an imminent assault? Do I have the right to punch him in his face? I said, yes, it is imminent assault. He's like, okay, yeah. I said, no, hold up, stop. I said, come back over here. I said, now, why did he put his hand on your chest? Well, I don't know, but he touched me. I said, wait a minute. Maybe he didn't know who you were. Maybe he thought you was somebody coming up to hit him, and he was just trying to stop you. I said, so you want to knock his teeth out for that?
Yeah.
Do you feel that's right? You know, and I said, how do you know when he was arguing with his girlfriend didn't do something super wrong? I said, how many of us in this room that wanted to knock our girlfriend out before? You know, all of us probably have. You know, hopefully none of you have, but everybody. So you can't always want to jump on the girl side and beat the crap out of the guy and play, you know, superhero.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. He might be the nicest guy in the world. And he just put his hand on you to stop you from approaching him. And I said, if you'd have knocked his teeth out, that's what's going to come out in court. And the jury going to look at you as big as you are. This guy standing 5'3".
Even if it doesn't come out in court, you know what's right.
Exactly.
You know, like what's right. And some people, you know, I have some buddies who are great street fighters. And, you know, it's fun and tempting to just kind of go along with the stories. But
Right.
I know that there's some people who are getting their ass kicked that really shouldn't have gotten their ass kicked.
Definitely.
You know, just something that would have been really easy to just be like, okay, whatever, dude.
Right.
You know, and just walk away. But just because some butt of some escalation doesn't necessarily mean that guy deserves an ass whooping. Now, there are some people who deserve an ass whooping. They need that kind of dose of reality to come in and say, hey, this is the laws of the fucking world. And it's like it would be helpful for their life to do it. But there's other people who are just, yeah, maybe they're having a fucking bad day. And do they deserve to get fucking stomped out? You know, probably not. And being able to discern those situations where it's someone who's just going to antagonize people indefinitely until someone says, all right, motherfucker, you know, you're about to learn something now.
Yeah.
Like, here, I'm taking you to school, not because I want to, but because you need to go to school, versus somebody who's just at the wrong place at the wrong time and just gets his shit beat out of him.
Well, I always remind them, I say, you know, who wins a street fight? So I always ask, you know, it depends on who's the biggest. I said, no, nobody.
Yeah.
I said, because if you whoop somebody's ass, they're going to go get their daddy's gun and come back and blast you later.
Mm-hmm.
Probably when you walk into the store with your daughter, you know, when you don't feel so tough. You know, and that always hits them right there. And a lot of times that's what it takes. A lot of people just don't have, and that's why I say the education comes in. When I say that, you know, and I say things like that, guys, you got to think that if you end up getting into a fight with this guy, that might come back around 5 years from now.
Right.
You know, he going to remember you. You knock his teeth out, you know, you crack his head open, he's not going to forget you. And then you're going to become go to church and get your degree and everything you were trying to do while you were here as a bouncer. And now you made it happen, got your home, got your wife, 2 kids, and he's still missing those teeth. And he going to run into you, you know, and guess what? Now what? You know, oh man, I don't want to fight today. I didn't want to fight that day. So
right.
Now what? So when I put it to him like that, that really helps him to start thinking about it. You know, because a lot of people that just, you know, you got to say, is compassion in people or is it taught? You know, can it be learned? You know, and I don't have an answer for that right now. You know, I've always had compassion. You know, I had a situation actually when I was locked up, a guy, Aryan Brotherhood, attacked me from behind. He had a big giant padlock on a weight belt and cracked me in the back of the head, you know, while I wasn't looking. Well, it did absolutely nothing to me. And I turned around and looked at him. He was just like, and I, you mother, get in here. And I beat the crap out of him, you know. And I remember I had his head. He was, you know, here, knees, elbows, everything, because he didn't know how to fight, you know. And I had his head, and I was looking at the edge of the desk. It was just like this. And I said, I have the right to kill him because he just attacked me from behind. I'm bleeding, you know. He's got the weapon in his hand. And I looked at him, and I said, I've got in front of me a hurt creature that can't defend itself, and that's all I saw. There's a hurt creature, and I felt sorry for him, even though I had done it. He'd attacked me, and I set him down, and let him go, you know. And I just kind of looked at him, and I was like, I said, and I thought again, I can knee him in the face. I can really build my rep up big, just beat the crap, and I can kill him and get away with it and win in court, and I couldn't do it, you know. And I said, man, can you walk back to your cell, you know? yeah, I can make it, man. I think you broke my rib. I said, all right, well, man, come on. And I helped him back to his cell, so we wouldn't get busted. You know what I'm saying? And we ended up getting busted anyway. But I don't know if you can teach somebody that, or if it's automatically in people, or if they just, what will somebody do when you got the right? Like you say, this guy comes to your house, he's got a knife in his hand, and you say, hey, mother, and he said, okay, don't shoot, please. And you got every right to blow him away. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do?
Right.
And we're dealing with a lot of that right now in St. Louis. Everybody's running around CCW this, I got my concealed weapon. I hope Ferguson does this. I'm going to this. I'm going to that. I'm like, dudes, where's y'all heads at?
Yeah.
You want to see a war break out? Okay, that's going to be cool for you when you winning. But what's going to happen when the end of the barrel's pointed at your daughter?
Right.
Or your mom or your sister, somebody who don't want to be involved in the middle of this crap. Quit thinking about your ego and think about those types of people. So you have to, like you say, you have to ask yourself, can you teach people compassion? But I do, when I train these bouncers and security and police officers, and I talk to them and teach them those kind of things, I do see a flicker in their eye. Mm-hmm. And I always see results. Those clubs, those venues. I remember when I took over the Monastery. I don't know if you ever heard of it. If you ever look it up, it was like the worst club in East St. Louis, Illinois. I mean, just straight gangster. I mean, they played, it was Lil Jon all day long. Who you with? Who you with? So everybody came in. The bouncers were gang members, were Crips. You know what I'm saying? And I came in. The owner was a friend of mine. He brought me in to clean up the security. So the first thing I did was fired all the gang members. I said, dude, you can't be security if you're gonna go, oh man, yo, cuz. I said, hold up a second. I said, wait a minute. A security guy is one step away from a cop. So you a cop or you a gangbanger? Oh, I said, well, we can because everybody getting security shirts. I'm gonna put a security shirt on you, and you gonna be a cop in here. Oh, no. So but that's my verbal judo.
Right.
Instead of them feeling like I fired them, I said, no, you keep your job, but you want a security shirt and you getting a badge. Oh man, that's messed up. I ain't no cop. I said, security's cops. It's your job to save lives, not to be in here throwing gang signs and gang banging. That's not what you're gonna have. But when I trained all these guys and got them to understand, things like that, and guys, don't do something to somebody that you wouldn't let them get away with. If you were doing this and drinking and having fun, and a bouncer came up to you and acted in the way you acted towards him, would you take that or would you go get your gun? I'll go get my gun. Okay. Why do you think he's not going to go get his?
Yeah.
Ricky. Yeah, you're right. Okay, exactly. So, and I seen these lights flicker, and it got to the point where we had no problems in there.
It seems, it would seem to me that compassion is innate within us all, but it can be unlearned very easily.
Yeah.
And then the key to that is just, you see it in pretty much every conflict that there is. What is one of the most important facets of any conflict is dehumanizing the enemy.
Right.
And religion has done a great job of that. These people are infidels.
Right.
These people deserve some kind of punishment from
because they don't believe the way we do.
Because they don't believe the way that we do. Or even if it's not a religious, kind of conflict or ideal, it's these people are
politics.
Evil or savages or whatever. You look at all the propaganda, like that's such an important part is to remove compassion.
Right.
So that and place judgment, remove compassion, which allows this fertile ground for combat.
Yeah.
And that's the same with racism. It's the same with every different other aspect that you can look at. Even a rival gang. Oh, these people are that person. This is a blood. This is not a dude who just happened to be in that neighborhood that was red rather than this neighborhood that was blue. Yeah. And we're all the same fucking, we're all struggling for the same thing,
Yeah.
But that judgment allows you to remove compassion, which is the only way that, we can do it. And I think the mere fact that all of these mechanisms to remove compassion are always in place when you do see conflict, to me means that we are born with compassion, because you have to remove that in order for conflict to ensue.
I like that. Judgment removes compassion.
Yeah.
I like that right there.
Well, man, this was awesome. We're going to have to do this again sometime, my brother.
That was just the blue pill.
That was it, man.
You get the red pill next time.
So tell us a little bit about your books, where people can find you, everything like that.
Well, JermaineAndre.com. Is where I'm at. JermaineAndre.com is a place to find my books. I've got a really good book out right now called ICE, Intercom and Explosiveness. And it's for athletes and definitely for fighters. And what I actually did was I was proposed by a company regarding something happened, with the NFL. You had the NFL players getting into all the trouble, the drunk driving and, the player who smacked his wife and knocked her out.
Yeah, Ray Rice.
Yeah, and they wanted to bring me in about, character, about and start training these guys. Look, man, this is how you be a warrior and a destroyer on the field, and this is how you maintain and cage that animal on the streets and treat people, the way they're supposed to be treated. So in the process of us working towards that, I wrote this book called Ice. And what the book does, and I gave you a copy of it, is I gave everything the way I think, the way I thought, when I competed, when I fought about, about everything, losing and about having a moral code. I gave codes that you can follow to help keep you in order, about your entourage and things like that, just all that stuff, plus some of the workouts that I did that helped to make me, give me, real strong legs and things like that. So that's a really good one for, athletes, for pro athletes, amateur, high school, intramural, anybody like that.
Yep.
Plus I've got another book that I wrote that's really good. It's called The Fighter's Bible. Now, it's funny with this book. I said, I need to write everything that's important regarding the fight. And I wrote the book, and I gave it to Crew Ryan Smith, my Muay Thai instructor. He read the book. Man, that's a really good book, this and that, da-da-da-da. He sounds just like that, too. Man, it's a really good book, And he said, but, you didn't write anything about fighting in there. And I said, oh, man, I guess I need to put that. He said, no, you don't. Wasn't it the most important stuff regarding fighting? I said, yeah, what happens outside the arena, dealing with your affairs and your flight and your life and your diet and showing up to the, and making sure you make weight. And I covered all of that stuff, and never said anything. And it takes you all the way up to walking out to the ring. Yeah. And then that was it. That's all I covered, So that's a really good book to help people to prepare. But that's where I saw all of my flaws in my fight career was because of what was going on outside the ring, not because of what happened in there. It was what happened before I went in. So that's a good one there. And then, of course, Muay Tiger is the story that we were just talking about. You got the tip of the iceberg. There's some, pretty wild stuff in there. It's a 17 and up book. You have the unedited version, so no editor's been through there and taking stuff out. Oh, get this out of there. That's So I haven't released it yet. And what I do is I'm just allowing certain individuals to read it because we're just not ready to put it out there yet. But that's the spot to find it. And one of my main things, I like training people in Muay Thai kickboxing, especially for MMA. That was what I used, in my MMA fight game was, Muay Thai and sprawling. Of course, I knew Jiu-Jitsu and Russian Sambo, but my main thing was to knock people out. And my passion is security, police, bodyguards, because they're the guys who are out there putting themselves in position to protect others. So they need to be the baddest, and I haven't said this yet, motherfuckers, in the world. And I tell them that all, and I even tell cops, I said, dude, and look, I've been in the joint and everything, but you're dealing with the real deal. And if you're afraid to get trained by me, wait till you run into another Jermaine Andre out there who ain't on your side. Yeah. It's going to be over for you. He's going to destroy you. And there's a whole bunch of them out there, and that badge means nothing to him. So.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming all the way down here.
Fun, man.
This was great. Yeah. So anything I can do in the future, man, just holler, let me know. But we'll certainly keep in touch. I look forward to reading your books and keep doing what you're doing. We need a lot more of you out there in the world.
All right. Give me a call after you read the books. And I got a waiver for you to sign because if you destroy any towns or anything after you read the book, that's on you. You can't be like, Jermaine made me do it. So.
I just come back like Shiva the Destroyer, just all fucking fire in my eyes.
Look, you might go do a fight career after reading that book. I'll fight. Jermaine, train me.
Oh, man. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you a lot, my friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
All right, my people. I will see you soon. Much love. Peace.